So whenever you get these words, I mean, because I mean, I remember as a kid during the summer watching the National Spelling Bee. Um, how do you actually process it in order to for it to come out? What's the steps there?
Yeah. So basically, the steps to sort of recognizing a word and then being able to output that to recite it when it comes in the B. So, I mean, what you could say is go into the depths of how the brain works and explain that,
Oh, we're
but
going
I
there.
know
Okay.
someone has already done that, and I do not remember most of it because that is overtly complicated in a subject that I'm probably going to be looking at right after this when I search it up on Wikipedia. But let's take a look at the actual way I look at words and understand them. So
Yeah.
the best way, at least for me, to memorize to learn the words that are the hardest, is to understand why they're spelled that way. Because if you understand why, then you're like, oh wait, this comes from there, which comes from that. So if I remember that, and then I can trace everything
So
back.
you go straight to the source,
Yes, basically, I
pretty
go to the
much.
source. So that's why roots or stems are a very important part of the learning process. They're basically mini words. They come from other languages, and then you can combine several of them to create a new word. So, chronometer is a good example. I mean, it's a measuring time. That's what it is. Chrono, that's time, and meter is measuring, so time measuring, and that's what it does. So, if you know these roots, then you can easily cover like a really big chunk of words. Because A, you know how they're spelled, and B, you know the meaning of those roots. So you just know the spelling and vocabulary of a good chunk of the words. And then combine that with the spelling rules from earlier, and then you can come up with, get even more words out of the way, and then the only words left are the genuinely difficult ones that are going to knock you out.
Wow. That's impressive. That's very impressive. The fact that you're going directly to the source of it and
Yeah.
understanding that, and you're only 12 years old. That's what's probably more impressive about everything else. So, and you've been doing this since you were 2 years old. That's
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I think when I was 1.5, my interest in it sort of began. Back in that time, we were, yeah, I think roughly that time, 1.5, 2, we were living in Cleveland, in Ohio, and the Cleveland Public Library, we would usually go there, like once in a week or two to get more books. And there's always a section literally devoted to alphabet toys. So obviously, a kid who's very much interested in that is going to basically beeline straight to the, and by the way, wonderful pun, beeline. They're gonna, one is going to beeline straight to that place, and that's what I did. And then it just run through the whole thing, and just, I was very interested in the alphabet.
Yeah.
And eventually, my parents noticed this, and then they created this favorable environment for me to excel in the field. And then by that time, it had grown into a passion for the language and for spelling. And that's when 2.5, my parents discovered about the spelling bees and the national spelling bee.
Yeah.
And then 2.5, I competed in my first spelling bee. And then from there, everything just went on. I realized I'm turning this slowly, segueing this into a biography of my life, but I've already done the majority of that part. Um, I should note that when I was 3, I became when I was 3 years old, I became a member of the High IQ Society, Mensa. And then when I was 5, I became a Davidson Young Scholar.
Oh
So
my gosh.
basically, high IQ. So
I love this
I
kid.
realize I am beginning to flaunt every single
Hey
thing I'm
man,
saying.
your credential, baby. You got to flaunt it. All right, last question before we actually get to some spelling words.